Kansas City is the only remaining undefeated team in the National Football League. Hey, I guess we shouldn't be surprised. They're on the quest for their first three-peat in NFL history as well. So the Chiefs got a lot going for them. Outside of missing, their receiver one in Rashee Rice and receiver two in Hollywood Brown.
And Travis Kelce having the worst year of his career as well.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how they managed to string everything together, but just like how we said last year, this year kind of seems like it could be a perfect year for other AFC teams to actually threaten their reign and possibly derail their quest for
You'd think.
So,
you think.
Yeah, you would think. You'd still be dumb to bet against them, so not saying to do it, but if you had to, which AFC team would you bet your money on to take them out in the playoffs?
It's not if I had to, it's that I did. I have the Ravens coming out of the AFC first and foremost. Okay. The Chiefs are 6-0, which I think is – I wasn't expecting it. I don't think many people were expecting it. No. I mean, just as the weeks have gone on, the injuries, all the players that you mentioned, and then on top of it, the number one most reliable guy there, Travis Kelce, statistically having the worst year of his career. So it's like you look at this team and you think to yourself, how are they this good? How are they still good? How are they still looking like the Chiefs of years past, even though they have a depleted roster? Well, Jerry, the answer is simple. It's because they have Pat Mahomes. It's like as a Patriots fan, as a diehard Patriots fan, as someone that got to watch Tom Brady for my entire existence, what we're seeing in Kansas City right now is what we were seeing in New England, where it's like Tom Brady he had some Hall of Fame players around him. You had guys like Randy Moss for 1 year, Deion Branch, who won a Super Bowl MVP for God's sakes. And Julian Edelman, people can have their opinion on him, but he's a borderline Hall of Famer, one of the better postseason players in league history. But not every year do you have good receiving core. I mean, the last few years in New England, I mentioned Edelman, but he had almost no one. And when they beat the Rams, I mean, their wide receiver core was not great. But he was still able to lead them because he was Tom fucking Brady. We're starting to see Patrick fucking Mahomes. We're I hate to say it, but this is going to be the closest guy that we see to Brady. And this could be a guy that surpasses Brady. I hate to say it because Brady's the GOAT, but on the trajectory that we're on right now, Pat Mahomes can one day get that GOAT status. And having seasons like this, Jerry, 6-0, looking for a three-peat with a depleted roster and still, I don't want to say dominating, but only undefeated team in football, that says more about the guy under center, the quarterback, than it does anything else. I think that's what it is. I still think that, again, I picked the Ravens to come out of the AFC. I think there are still a handful of great teams that can knock them down, but hey, they're the defending champs. You got to give them that respect. So,
yeah, not going to lie to you, I also picked Baltimore to do those things.
Lamar and Derrick Henry is one of the best running back quarterback duos we've seen ever. So come on, it's hard not to.
The Ravens have a pick your poison kind of offense right now, and even if you see Mark Andrews is finally getting loose now,
Zay Flowers is having a decent year. Bateman had a huge reception last game. Yeah,
they have a good team offensively and really defensively too to get it done against the Chiefs. I know they seen them earlier in the season, but the Ravens weren't who the Ravens needed to be at that point.
They were still putting it together.
Things needed to mesh well, but for the sake of being different, if Baltimore's off the table and I have to choose somebody else, I guess I'm gonna go with the other superhuman at quarterback out in Buffalo. Now I have a little less faith in the Bills, but it's still probably good enough to where the game breaker mentality that I know Josh Allen has and he's capable of, and we've seen it year after year. Hell, even when they lost in the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs, it wasn't Josh Allen's fault. He put points on the board the last time he was on the field.
100%.
He just left too much time left.
This year, and this year too, Jerry, 0 interceptions for him so far. They're 5-2, and they just got a wide receiver one for him. They were going their first 6 games of the season. They had Khalil Shakir, no offense to him, Keon Coleman, and Dalton Kennett leading the way. And it's that's not sustainable. Kincaid, excuse me. I got the names mixed up.
It's
not sustainable.
It's definitely to the point where now I'm looking at the Bills as probably the third. Yeah, I could confidently say they're the third best team in the AFC behind Kansas City, behind Baltimore. I mean, Josh Allen, like, again, I don't really need to go into detail what he is. He's going to be MVP candidate for the next 10 years or so. He's going to put his body on the line damn near every possession, as we know. So, I mean, the reckless abandonment that he plays with and the command of the offense that he has, especially behind Joe Brady, who's calling the plays as the OC over there, things look good. And James Cook is also being let to cook, which has been the key to their offense when he's been made available, when he's healthy. So I like what they look like this year. I have them a step or two behind Baltimore, and I have them a step or three behind Kansas City. Yeah. It's just something looks a little different to me about those other two teams, to where I know their identity is it's Patrick Mahomes and the magic that he could create out of nothing. For Lamar, it's the ultimate speed, and guess what? I have a beast in the backfield, and I have pretty solid weapons on the outside. For Buffalo, it's very much I don't know. Yeah, I have to wait and see, because there's still some question marks I have about them. They played the Jets played them tight a couple of weeks ago, where I felt like the Jets probably could have squeaked that game out, but the same offensive holding calls, the bad pass protection that just kind of broke down on them. So I don't really know about the AFC East, but the Jets could possibly make a run. The Bengals, I can never really count them out until the very end.
I think they're still a playoff team. I still believe in the Bengals with their strength, with their schedule remaining too. Yeah, I think they can. Going back to what you were saying, I think the biggest thing, I think the top three teams in the AFC are Kansas City, Baltimore, and Buffalo. I think the key difference is Kansas City and Baltimore, I think, have identities. I think Kansas City, their identity is defending champs and Pat Mahomes. Yep. Baltimore, their identity is alarm going off. Their identity
time to wake up.
Is time to wake up. Is their rush? Is their running? Lamar, Derrick Henry, and as well as their defense. They have a really good defense as well. What's Buffalo's identity? Are they a defensive team? Is it all about Josh Allen? I think with Buffalo, you need a lot more things to go right for them to win, and we've seen them come up short in the postseason too. So they don't have a great track record. Well, like Kansas City, it's like if Pat Mahomes is on, there's a chance they're going to win. If Lamar and Derrick Henry are running all over you, that's how they win.
You're done.
I don't think Josh Allen playing his most perfect game will lead to a Buffalo win in the postseason. No, that's where I stand.
You said, there's a lot of things that need to go right, and even with them being possibly the third team, that's up for debate. Because another team that just happened to have two good quarterbacks at their disposal in Pittsburgh, with the defense to match, where I know that Pittsburgh has an identity on the defensive side of the ball, and T.J. Watt is up for a Defensive Player of the Year award.
And hell, man, we didn't even bring up Houston, who's 5-2 right now. And I know Nico Collins is on the IR, but they have one of the best receiver cores in football. Yeah. And Joe Mixon having, a great year still. So, there's a lot of good teams in the AFC. So it's not a guarantee that Kansas City is coming out of there. But I mean, again, for them to be 6-0 with this roster, it says a lot about Pat Mahomes. And as long as Pat Mahomes is playing the way he is, you can't count him out.
It's kind of hard to. Like we said, it's like betting against Brady here at this point, because this is our version of our GOAT at quarterback. And he's already the most talented QB that we've ever seen. So it's going to be kind of hard for the Chiefs to get derailed by any of these teams. But, hey, the Texans, the Ravens, the Bills, potentially the Bengals, who we know are the Chiefs' kryptonite every year, it seems like.
They've done it before.
There's some dogs out here, but that's our 2 cents.